Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. The time has come, we can no longer wait. We cannot place the earth in hands of fate. The hurt is here, and greed surrounds. The dream runs out upon the ground. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. The hands of power pull us to and fro. They call us forth and say which way to go. They say the bombs make us secure. Can this be true? We're not so sure. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. We need no bombs to keep the nations free, but join our hearts with those across the seas to hear the poor, to know their need, to share the bread, to plant the seed. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. The earth is groaning with the pain of death. This gift of God must have new life, new breath. O Lord of life, surround our prayer and feel the deeps of our despair. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. The time has come, we can no longer wait. We cannot place the earth in hands of fate. The kingdom's here, and love surrounds. So live the joy of peace profound. Sing laudate Dominum, sing laudate Dominum.
So I wanted to share with you all knowing that Dad's such a ham. One of my memories is of him when he was in a one-act play called Egad, You're a Cad. He was the cad, of course, and loved every minute of it. But I was able to feed him lines when he was rehearsing, and that was pretty fun. He also was a ham because when he would do his back handsprings, he would show off that little trick, drop his coins along the way, so we'd all scramble for the coins. And another ham thing was him at Cuca Lake when he would water ski. And he would take off from the dock. He'd be sitting on the dock. The boat would take off. It would take him up. He'd be on the skis. He'd slalom. And then he would come back in and go right up onto the beach. That's what he'd do. He was a crazy man.
Dad had his calm teaching moments when he was able to confront ignorance. He was serving a church during the late 60s. The Vietnam War was in full bloom, and Richard Nixon was in the White House. Dad had spoken out against Nixon's policies from time to time. One day, as he and the good folks around town were putting out American flags on their porches, 2 men came to our door and demanded that he take down his flag because he obviously was not a patriot since he didn't agree with the president's policies. Nixon had said at one point that people who didn't agree with his policies should not fly the flag. Dad took a deep, disgusted breath and said to them, "No, I will not take down the flag because no two-bit politician will decide whether or not I'm patriotic."
My father was always helping people. I remember during the Vietnam War, leaving for school in the morning and having to walk around sleeping men in our living room floor who were on our way to Canada to avoid the draft. He helped a black woman find a new home closer to her job in town when she was having a hard time finding a place that would rent to her and her family, and dealt with those who weren't crazy about the idea of a black family moving to town. And there was the youth center he started at Christ United Methodist in Elmira that helped kids keep off the street. The church had an indoor basketball court that was constantly in use and a lounge for hanging out and listening to music. He was the coolest.
So when I tell people about my papi, of course, the obvious things are about the work that he did and the communities that he changed. But I like to think about how much he loved my granny and how, even after all the years that they were together, they still were totally flirtatious and had crushes on each other. And one time she was organizing her spice rack, and she was wondering if there were spices that were too old and if they had lost their spice. And he just said, "Well, you never lose your spice." And I just think that's the sweetest thing.